To start, can I get your name, your age, and your place of birth?
I'm Sara Meaney. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm 44 years old.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your job history before coming to Department of Tourism.
I'm happy to. So most of my career has been in advertising and marketing on the agency side of things. So I've spent time working in several agencies in executive leadership and executive management roles. I owned my own agency for a couple of years with a business partner, and we grew and merged with another advertising agency. So some of the clients and brands that we've worked with in the past are in the travel and tourism industry, as well as active lifestyle brands. So I feel like it's a good connection and a lot of experience that translates directly into the role as Tourism Secretary.
Perfect. Tell me a little bit about your education.
So I went to UW-Madison, and I majored in psychology and was pre-med and had kind of my sights on going to medical school for a while. When I decided that wasn't quite the path that I wanted, through various different paths, I ended up in marketing. Generally, in the beginning, it was kind of science, pharmaceutical, and related products in that portion of the industry. And through that, it kind of translated into more consumer products and, of course, travel and tourism products. So that science background for me kind of led me to be more of a data and research-driven marketer, certainly. I believe very strongly in relying on facts and information. And so a lot of what I do is driven by seeking that information to inform really good strategic decisions.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your family.
I'd be happy to talk about my family. I am the third of 4 kids, and that generally, I think, means that I've learned to kind of be adaptive. I noticed, and my mom may actually disagree with me, I've noticed that in my lifetime there are far fewer photos of me alone as a kid than certainly my siblings. And I think that actually meant that I loved being around people all the time, which is certainly the true story today. I also am a mom of 4. So my husband and I are raising our 4 kids in Milwaukee on the east side. And, I think we really like having a great time going on road trips, and we love to go on vacation as a family. I myself kind of grew up having a sense of adventure and going to summer camp in Wisconsin in the summertime and learning to really love and appreciate the great outdoors.
Non-work interests, what do you like to do?
Oh, that's a great question. Immediately prior to this position, I had just taken a new job at Milwaukee Film, and that's kind of an extension of something that's a passion of mine. I had sat on the board of directors of Milwaukee Film for about 6 years because I really cared about and do still care about the arts and about film, sort of as an extension of how storytelling and film actually connects people and helps advance communities. So I really, really care a lot about the arts. I care a lot about advancing creativity. I spend a lot of time, going to art museums myself and bringing the kids to art museums, but also kind of dabbling in art and in writing. And when I do have a free moment of time, you might find me doing things like home improvement projects that I like to do myself, or fixing up the garden, digging in the dirt and putting in plants and things like that.
Any art museums in particular you'd recommend?
Well, I grew up really loving the Milwaukee Art Museum. It is such an incredible gem for the state, but it's also a place that I think I find solace in several of the wings. So the permanent installations there are really incredible, and I could see them hundreds of times and still feel like I'm seeing it for the first time. I also did just experience my first opportunity to see an art museum in the Stevens Point area, which I thought was amazing. And I really like checking things out, that are new and exciting. One thing that I would think of as not being a traditional art museum, but actually kind of a unique opportunity in the state of Wisconsin is Forevertron, which is near Baraboo, kind of between Baraboo and Devil's Lake, which is an incredible or very organic feeling sculpture garden that was completed and made up of by scrap metal by an artist named Dr. Evermore. And it's this kind of crazy cool hidden away gem of Wisconsin, but I think of it kind of as this very organic outdoor, sculpture and art garden.
Tell me about the interest in being in the Ebers administration.
So I had never met Governor Ebers until I entered the interview process. I had read a lot about him. I know his style of leadership is something that I believe in and that I hope to espouse in my own leadership in my professional career. So when I had an opportunity to meet him in person, it connected the dots for me to understand that he is exactly how he seems. He's a man of integrity. He is a person who inspires people to lead and lead by example. So I'm really excited and really honored to be a part of the team that he put together. And then I think as an extension of that, every time we get together as a cabinet, I am struck by the incredible integrity and talent and expertise of the other cabinet members that he has appointed to those positions. I'm inspired by the work they've done. I am impressed by their strength of character, and I feel really fortunate and lucky and honored to be among them.
Can you tell me what are the priorities for the agency under your direction?
So tourism is this incredible strength for the state. The tourism economy in the state of Wisconsin is the third largest industry. So what's really important is that we build off of the strength that is already in place. Wisconsin has some incredible natural resources that are widely known, throughout the state. Ultimately, in order to see the growth and prosperity that we would like to see through our efforts, we're going to need to find new opportunities to attract new audiences. So one of the really important ways to do that is understand what is our greatest strength, or what are the greatest strengths that we can build off of. And the data tells us that the number one reason people report that they come to the state of Wisconsin is outdoor recreation. And outdoor recreation happens to be a large majority, a huge majority of the actual total tourism industry in the state of Wisconsin. So I think we see an opportunity to dig a bit deeper there, look into how we can best leverage that existing base, that existing resource, and make sure that we tell the story to more people in the future to really leverage what we already have. That said, we also have opportunities, I think, to appeal to growing and emerging demographics to come to the state of Wisconsin. I think it's entirely possible that, with growth, we would love to see more people coming from further afield. We rely really heavily on the direct driving market to come to the state of Wisconsin, and that has served us well for a long time. But we need to look further afield for new areas for growth. So I think we're going to be looking to opportunities for direct flight markets to bring new audiences to the state.
I mean, you kind of touched on it, but is there anything else you think that the department could be doing differently?
Well, I think that's a good question. There's always something in terms of change that we can look into and do a bit more of. With marketing, what we have is the opportunity to do a lot of tweaking. So let's just say, for example, the pot of money that we have to work with is whatever it's going to be. With that same amount of money, there are a lot of ways that we can look to invest it. Marketing has a lot to do with awareness. Marketing activity really has everything to do with making sure people are reminded of what we have to offer, and that costs money. So we have an opportunity to invest further in paid advertising within specific audiences, but also mixing it up with earned media, which is, of course, PR and influencers, things like social media, but also owned media. So owned media, of course, is kind of that third leg of the stool. It's that piece of content and what we put on our website, the types of videos we create, the blog posts we create, the stories that we can write, and the people that we can tap into to be telling the story of Wisconsin. I'm really looking forward to exploring opportunities to expand on that owned media content, to do more of the storytelling from in-house, from inside of the department, while pairing that and partnering that with work in the paid advertising side of things and working with earned media through third-party relationships.
Last two questions here. Best advice you've gotten since you got the job?
Best advice. Well, I think Governor Ebers gave really, really good advice to all of us when we agreed to take the position, and that is to do what you do best and lead by example. be compassionate leaders and be transparent and strong communicators. And I think that's excellent advice in any instance. As it relates specifically to the Department of Tourism, I think the advice I've gotten is pretty consistent with the various people that I've been meeting with. Continue to listen, continue to seek input, and make sure that what we're doing is collaborating as much as possible throughout the state. So I think those are two really good buckets of advice that I intend to take to heart.
Lastly, worst advice you've gotten since doing your job?
The worst advice. Well, as a marketer, I find it to be both refreshing and interesting when people offer their recommendations for the next state tourism slogan or campaign. What I can't say is that all of them are terrible ideas, but I can't say all of them are the best either. So I'm not going to be taking everyone's advice, but maybe a couple folks will see some of their ideas play out in the future.
Well, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.